Hello everyone! In this video, I'll be reviewing and going over the full build of Cutie Honey Nova from Plamatea. I was super excited for this kit, and it did not disappoint. This is the current modern design of Cutie Honey, which originally came from a 1970s manga and followed by various refreshes over the years. In 2025, they released a manga called Cutie Honey Nova, which this kit is based off of. It's a pretty fun series, and I suggest checking it out. I'll be first going over the build and calling out a few important items to take note of with this kit, since it has a few weak points to look out for. I then start going into full seam line removal in details and pastel shading. This kit looks incredible already right out of the box without any detailing, but adding those last details truly make this kit shine. Let's get started. The box art is already a good sign of the quality you'll get here. Lots of color with a great collection of poses already on display on the box. Like many Plamatea kits, the box is generally on the smaller side with it packed full of runners. And wow, runners this kit has. It has an incredible variety of colors, with the trade-off of having a ton of runners with just a few pieces on each one. It seems unruly at first, but I didn't actually have any issues managing them over the time. The assembly order is standard Girlpla affair, starting with a head and hair. The hair has more pieces than normal Girlpla kits, which give it a great layered look. An important note is that all the pegs in this kit are a tight fit. I highly recommend you sand all the pegs or widen the holes on every single piece. This becomes even more important on the joints. But even with the hair pieces, they didn't fit together all the way without a bit of work. The body section has a few difficult parts I'll be pointing out, and is the reason I would not recommend this kit to beginners. All the main flesh parts, like the torso, and as you will later see, the arms are in two pieces. Other brands tend to have these in one piece, but Plamatea still splits these pieces into two. As you see here, the pieces do not quite fit perfectly, so there's a visible seam line. Even after trimming the pegs and widen the holes, the mold on each side of the torso do not line up. I end up doing seam line removal on the torso and legs later, so stick around or check the timestamps in the description if you'd like to see how I remove those. The hips have an interesting mechanic I have seen on many Plamatea kits. They have a different joint of sort for each leg. The purple lower torso is of one piece, so the hip mechanics fit inside it snugly. The hip section is like a skirt piece that loosely connects. It seems weird since it doesn't snap on, but is on a hinge of sorts. It felt loose at first, but after the legs are attached later, it stopped moving and looked fine. The biggest issue is the double bulb piece that connects the lower and to upper torso. While it gives the kit a more posable feel, it was really hard to get together the first time. Then it also falls apart easily when posing. Once you have it together, just as body and head, you can already tell how great this kit looks. If you're enjoying this build and review, please don't forget to click the like button. I make build and reviews of all kits, plus tutorials on techniques you see here. Subscribe if you'd like to be notified when I upload more of them, and I appreciate the support. The arms were next. They are made up of a bunch of really small pieces. When removing gates, it's easy to also sand away small panel lines. Because of this, I had to rescribe some of them when I wasn't careful. When assembling the arms, the parts are really small, so take your time since the pegs can break off easy. The halves that fit together to form the shoulders are also a very tight fit. Part of the problem is the ring joint inside doesn't have much room. I left this alone for now, but we'll show you later how I go back and shave more room in there. I also removed the seam line of the shoulders while I was at it. The forearms were pre-painted purple. The paint was a bit off, so I had to scrape some of it away. If you sand away the gates or mold lines, it will take off the purple, so be careful. You'll also find the two halves to this forearm do not align well. This is kind of ugly, but is hidden by the glove later on for the most part. If you have purple paint, you might consider sanding it down and just repainting it. I did my best just to clean it up for now. Toward the end, when I'm detailing, the dark purple panel liner make it a little more uniform. With the arm done, it's onto the legs. The legs are pretty easy overall. The armor and clothing matches the arms, so the build pattern was about the same. Please remember though, sand the pegs of all the joints or widen the holes. If you don't, your ankles might break when posing, and will make taking it apart impossible. As with the shoulders, I left a bit of space on the hips for now since I knew I was going to come back later with some seam line removal. Since there are various ways to do seam line removal, I went ahead and did one of the hips with the pour type glue to see how it did. It ended up working great, so you will see me doing it for the rest of the kit with this method. The shoulder joint was way too tight, so I had to carefully pull it apart. The problem wasn't the peg, but rather the space. I ended up spending some considerable time scraping and drilling away plastic. Since I was going to remove the seam line anyway, it was also important the plastic didn't touch. If it did or was close, the glue might melt it all together. I spent an extra amount of time getting the seam line removal right for this kit. I used a pour type glue. This is the extra thin that will spread between the gaps. You'll want the gaps to be at the size of a hobby knife. Any smaller or larger and it won't spread right. Keep adding it until you can easily see the glue in all the cracks. Wait about 5 seconds, then press it together. Don't worry if you don't get a perfect squeeze. I will show you in a bit how to deal with that. I did this for the body, shoulders, and legs. Once dried, I used 400 grit sandpaper to remove the excess. I looked for gaps or incorrect colors. Using a scraper or a knife, I got shavings from the runner for that part. This ensures it has the same color. I applied the glue to the part that needed a little bit extra, then put some shavings on it, then put a little more glue. When those shavings melted, I sculpted them with a knife. After a few minutes, I used 400 grit sandpaper again to remove the excess and smooth it out. I repeated this process until I removed the seam lines on the body, shoulder, and legs. With the seam lines gone, I then finished up assembly of the legs. Also started putting the body back together for the final assembly. It's really worth emphasizing how good this kit looks at this point. Before doing any detailing, I gave the major parts, like the flesh parts, a matte top coat. I did this because I plan on doing some pastel work in a bit. Instead of using a normal black panel line everywhere, I went for something a little bit more special. For each color, I chose a slightly darker color from the plastic and then thinned it with water. It makes it easy to clean and it's just like a normal panel liner. Using a darker color for your panel lining is more natural and pleasing to the eye. The last detailing started with all the gold parts on the armor. I applied a diluted gold, much like a panel liner. There were a lot of these, and I kept finding more and more of them as the detailing went on. Next up was the white armor. For it, I used a diluted dark gray. The armor pieces had all sorts of small panel lines and divots to fill. For white, I used a light gray. At this point, I kept repeating the process for each divot and panel line I could find. With all the detailing and paneling done, I assembled her once again. Looking good, but not quite done. For skin pastel coloring, I used a basic formula. For skin that was pinched by clothing, I used chestnut. For parts that were folded or just shade, I used caramel. For other stretch parts, I used peach. I just kept going over it until the color really looked even. With that, Cutie Honey Nova was finally done. It was a fun kit to put together. If you enjoyed this build, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also find me on Twitch at Internet Models. Thank you again for watching, and have yourself a great day.